Councilmember Rue, welcome. Newest council member. Strongest back. Just going to keep loading it on the new guy. That's what they, right? What's that old line? What's that old line about poker game? If you don't know who the pigeon is, it's you. Yeah. You can tell who played poker and lost with me, right? David, no, he's off to a great start. His first 100 days have been impressive. His victory was impressive, and it was done on the backs of hard work and neighborhood councils and sweat equity. And David, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank God there's only 15 minutes left. I first want to thank Senator Hertzberg, the Valley Economic Alliance, Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky, Mr. Fleming, all my colleagues on the City Council, all the neighboring cities, San Fernando Valley COG for putting this together. And thank you, Senator, for bringing us together because, you know, this is unprecedented to have everybody here together in unison. And, you know, just in the City Council alone, I believe there is 7 members who either represent fully or part of the Valley. And I happen to be one of them, which I feel I'm so fortunate about. And I think it's one of my colleagues from Burbank stated, it is about hearing from neighborhoods. And that is how I got here. And, you know, I look forward to hearing more from them. And it's even more exciting when we have universal agreement throughout the entire Valley for things like the Orange Line conversion. No one disagrees. And to your comment, Mr. Wilson, on equity, I fully agree with you. R2, that's our battleground. And I seen just I know I was late, but I seen just the boards around. It is unfair when there are only 2 stations in the Valley and only 5 miles out of 300 miles of track. Something needs to be done. And I could assure you, and just as my community members have told me, I will not be supporting R2 unless the Valley gets its fair share. And so, I mean, I thank the leadership of all those who came before me and who are still with me and helping me show the ropes. And I'm glad I have a strong back, and because I'm going to need it when Senator Hertzberg jumps on it. So, but I'm happy
or at least hugs it strongly. Yeah.
So thank you.
Don't give Koretz a mic again.
2 hours later, I want to answer your question, which is the website for PRT.
I've got it. I'll take care of the websites, Paul. I got 2 websites to take care of. I got it.
Okay, good enough.
Let's get neighborhood councils.
Neighborhood
Bob,
councils. There were a number of folks who wanted quick.
You know, Bob, while you're getting identified, walk through neighborhood council. One of the things on the Orange Line that can be done quicker than the $1.5 billion it'll take to convert it is the grade separations. Right. And that's one of those things that can be done relatively quickly and in transportation world relatively inexpensively. It'll make a huge difference because you'll separate the cars and the buses so they won't keep hitting each other. But also, more importantly, you'll speed up the commute times, which will restore, you know, ridership. And then you add the 90-foot buses, it's a home run.
You got that innovation guy? Get the numbers on that. Report in the morning, 8 o'clock. Okay, quickly, let's just to get everybody's voice on the board, if you will, and inventory this stuff. And as we come back, we'll listen and prioritize. But the purpose here was to take the entire Valley. I'm going to come to Calabasas in a minute, but quickly just tell us your thoughts, any ideas you've got of what we should be doing to improve Valley transportation.
I'm Scott Silverstein. I'm the chair of the Woodland Hills Warner Center Neighborhood Council. We spent 8 years drafting a specific plan in Warner Center and Woodland Hills. The purpose of the plan was something that I haven't heard here, and that was, right now everybody's commuting. Well, our plan was to stop the commute, as to bring the businesses and the residents to the same area, so they could walk to their job and walk home instead of commuting. We have now, as Councilman Blumenfeld said, we have allotted for 19,000 new residences and 14 million square feet of commercial space within 1,000 acres. Now that's going to stop the commuting. It's not going to add to the commuting. So good planning and transportation, they're not mutually exclusive. They need to go together, and I haven't heard anybody from this table say anything about it. Thank you.
On the table, we got SB 375. We got a lot of climate change money. We're going to have stormwater runoff money. We got water bond money. I think the point is that is exactly the point. Now, so that you made it. We got to integrate those.
Bob, the point is it's got to be coordinated and planned appropriately.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Jenkins, Chair of the Northeast Valley. I'm Rosemary Jenkins, the Chair of the Northeast Valley Green Alliance. I write for LA Progressive, and I'm involved with the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council and a number of other organizations. But my profession is a teacher, and during my many years of teaching, I had the opportunity to travel and study in a number of places around the world. And most recently, I was in Costa Rica studying, and the transportation was fabulous. Every 5 minutes, there was a bus. Now, it wasn't these big, long buses, but the fact is the transit corridors moved quickly. They had smaller buses, but they were there every 5 minutes, and the buses were full, and if you missed that bus because it was too full, you only had a 5-minute wait. It is ridiculous. I have new insights now as a teacher why some of my students would arrive late. They said, well, they were on the bus, and I would think, well, make sure you get there on time, but the buses are not getting there on time. But I do think that we need an alternative possibly to the triple buses and have more bus transportation that's dependable more often. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hold on. Dennis Washburn, the first mayor of the city of Calabasas, way back in the Wayback Machine.
1991, would you believe it? I want to give a shout out to Bob Hertzberg and Richard Katz and Ken Phillips for putting this together today. But it should be a regular institution. I have a suggestion on how that might actually happen. And that would be using Zev's idea. Zev he hit the nail right on the thumb when he talked about putting that compass point at that center of a geographic area and looking out 7 miles like in Paris or in London. If we did the same thing on Van Nuys Boulevard between the headquarters of the Valley Economic Alliance and the San Fernando Valley Government Center, and we looked 7 miles around that locus, then we could say that it will probably never be a city in the San Fernando Valley, but we can be a special district. And I think a special district for mobility in the San Fernando Valley would be a way to create something that is almost transcendent to all the politics necessary to get something done. And I would say that everybody here has a hand in that, and there's only a couple of barriers to actually creating a special district. That's what we have you for.
Thank you. I want to call on Francine Ocean. I'll get you, who is the chair of the Transportation Committee at VICA, who's been doing transportation stuff forever, and ran against me for assembly 20 years ago.
Losing was
See my tap card? It's a senior card.
Hey,
Which,
Bob,
by the
Bob,
way,
and her losing was the best thing that happened to both of you.
this is true. In fact, you should be taking care of me better. Do get your tap card. It's 62 years old. It's like 35 cents. You can go from the Valley to Long Beach. I don't know how much better it gets than that. Thank you all today. I want to thank the senator, and I want to thank Richard Katz and David Fleming. Valley on Track, we are absolutely committed at VICA to our 3 projects. We have so many of you that have signed on, neighborhood councils, homeowner groups, elected officials. If there's anyone in this room who has not signed on to Valley on Track, please come see Sarah Mitchell when we're done. This is the most important thing we can do. We need to show up at Metro at every single meeting where Measure R2 or the long-range plan is on the agenda, and we need to be vocal, we need to be loud, we need to make our voices heard over there. We need the Valley to be recognized, and we need to be funded adequately. Thank you.
Fanny, quickly.
And Francine, and funded in the early years. And funded in the early years.
Yes, thank you. Not 30 years out, because I won't be here.
I'm Fanny Long. I'm a member of the Procurement Neighborhood Council. I sit as the senior member of the board. And we need, the Northeast Valley has been so neglected. We really need help. because I'm a senior now. Now I'll be getting a TAP card. Yes, I need to get that. And also, because I won't be driving too much longer, maybe. And so I want that transportation. What kind of rail do we have going to the Northeast Valley? Anyone know? Do we have a rail going in the Northeast Valley?
Not right now.
Well, that needs to be addressed, I think.
Why we got to expand your valley impact plan to the communities. If we get full support in the valley. Hold on. Okay.
Keep going,
Thank
Bob.
you.
My name's Carolyn Castano. I'm on the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council. I'm speaking for myself, though. And the question I'd like to bring up is funding. And we're talking about Measure R2, but obviously that's not going to be enough to solve the problem. So we're really going to get serious about funding. And how can we look at other sources of funding like cap and trade funds? And also I'd like to suggest that we start taking a look at highway construction funds and shifting highway construction funds to transit construction funds and keeping the highway funds for maintenance, but let's start moving towards transit if that's what we want. The easier we make it to drive cars, then the less people are going to ride transit.
By the way,
Okay.
in Measure R1, just so you know, the City of Los Angeles took no highway funds and took a larger share of transit funds exactly for that reason.
Yes, good morning. Mary Garcia, President, Midtown North Hollywood Neighborhood Council. Three things. The dash system, I have to piggyback on what Paul said. Absolutely must have that. Because you want to be able to get somewhere safely, especially with the crime rate today in some of our communities. And I know the population is from here 20 to 40, blah, 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 and blah. We need that. We need to do that also because of all the development that's going on throughout the valley. Thousands of people moving into the area. We don't need thousands more cars. So also, light rail. I think we were cheated the first time. Let's not let that happen again. Let's push that through.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Anybody else on this side? Here we go. I got a couple of quick folks, and we're going to end it up. We just want to make sure everybody's voices gets put up on the board and get heard. Yeah.
Hi there, John Graff from the Reason Foundation. David Fleming, thank you for inviting me here. David's on our board of trustees. I just want to say, I've heard of a lot of great things, and Hillary, thank you for bringing up the point about the arterials. The rail is not the answer to getting people around in the valley. I think that by adding some grade separation at some of the major intersections, improving the arterials, and getting buses working in the valley is really the way to have a solution. Reason has got a policy study coming out on November 17th that talks about a lot of innovative ideas to solve congestion. And I invite all of you to come to the City Club and listen to what we have to say.
Look forward to it. Henry.
Good morning. My name is Andre Vandervalk. I am the president of the Chatsworth Neighborhood Council. We're the recipient of the Orange Line going north, and one of my concerns, the biggest concern, is the operational issues on a day-to-day basis, which probably is highlighted where there's no bathrooms for any of the bus riders. So here they are, they're commuting an hour, 2 hours or so like that. Just a simple solution to that would address the issues of, and this is just one issue, but probably the biggest one, because the bathroom ultimately is used, but it's on the grounds elsewhere within that area. The other thing is that I want to remind you that from Chatsworth, it took me an hour to get here, my wife and I, but from Chatsworth to get to the new Costco takes 35 minutes. I can go in 20 minutes and go to Simi Valley, where I can save at the Costco over there a 1.5% on the gasoline price, and I can also save 1.5% on anything that I buy. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's a lot of money. Be careful, Los Angeles, that we don't price ourselves out to where that becomes more and more apparent with the neighboring communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bob, gentleman over here had a blue shirt.
I apologize. Go ahead.
And I got a couple over here surrounding Glenn Bailey.
Good morning. I'm the treasurer of the Pacoima Neighborhood Council. Sorry I'm running late. I had another meeting to go to, so I missed most of it. However, I'm just here to say that the Northeast Valley, from the people I've spoken to, are definitely for advanced progress. we definitely do want some sort of, whether it's rail, whether it's bus lines, we do want some sort of transportation. The issues that have been brought up to me is just making sure that it's not going to destroy the quality of life. So if it means destroying part of our communities, then maybe they really wouldn't be for it. And just real quickly, looking back at history, the valley did have rail systems in the past. Any boulevard you see where there are palm trees, more than likely there was rail in the past. Obviously don't have enough gray hairs to know that. I wasn't alive when it was there, but I'm sure we can do some sort of, whether it's rail or bus or some sort of special transportation down those major boulevards. I think would definitely help improve access to the Northeast Valley and vice versa to the west of the valley.
Bob, while you're moving over there, John, comment over here.
Sure, I'm John Guerri. I'm the Executive Director of the San Fernando Valley Council of Governments, and thanks to the conveners here today. But as we look at wrapping the meeting and moving forward, one of the things I want to put everybody in everybody's mind is that the COG is here to coordinate between the multiple cities you see around the table. We are here not to replace their individual policies for neighborhoods or their own jurisdictions, but to coordinate as we move forward and look at the long term. What's before us in potential planning for transportation for this region really comes down to coordination and looking 1, 2, 3, 4 decades. Even though we might be requesting funding in the first decade, plans are being made for the next 40 years. And when 40 years from now, some of us will be still sitting in this room talking about future of transportation.
You.
Some of us will be. But the COG is undergoing...
Those high school kids over there.
But the COG is currently undergoing a process that fits into both Metro's long-range transportation plan that one component includes about a potential ballot initiative. We're also working with SCAG and their long-range plan through the RCS transportation planning. And so the COG has regular meetings and regular interactions with public, and we hope that all of you will find energy to attend those meetings as well, give input and give direction, because the board meets, and we have 4 Metro board members on our COG board. I think the largest number of any of the COGs in the region that serve on the Metro board. So it's a real opportunity for that interaction.
And of course, John, obviously this is all a collaborative effort for all of us to reach out, and we're going to share all the data, all the information with you and everybody
I do want
else.
to make one thing clear. Bob and I are planning on being here in 40 years, just not sitting around this table.
Hello, my name is Rachel. My husband and I moved here 3 months ago from Indiana, and we chose Studio City because it was 3 miles from my husband's new job. We thought it would be a quick commute, but that 3 miles turned into 40 minutes on the road, and there is no bus up Coldwater Canyon southbound through the mountains. So I want to encourage continued collaboration with the Los Angeles County Bicycle Coalition, because my husband and I took their bicycle safety classes, so we would have the courage to be on the roads on a bicycle. And now my husband, takes him 20 minutes on a bicycle instead of 40 minutes being stuck in traffic. So please continue that collaboration.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Ross. I'm the president of the San Fernando Chamber of Commerce, and I just had a couple of quick comments just about possibly using technology to grab some of the low-hanging fruit. I mean, we've seen a few studies that were done, 400, 1,000 people. We have the technology available now at very inexpensive prices to track these buses. Who's on them? How many people? Where's the bus? How often is it late? How often is it on time? How often is it broken down? And if we had a way of doing that, we would know exactly what is available where.
You can do what I always do. I just call Bart Reed and ask him.
Exactly.
He knows all that.
And the other, the offshoot of that would be making available that information to the people who are standing waiting. There's no reason that at a kiosk you can have the same information you have on an iPhone. And that's cheap, that's quick, that's easy. And the final thing I wanted to mention is that the culture of the people who run the bus systems is not one of providing excellent service. And if the culture of that were to change to providing the customer the best service on the best looking and the best well-kept bus possible, you might see more people of greater means riding those buses and being more concerned about where they go and where they don't go.
Two more quick, we're going to wrap it up. Sorry, Bart, you're up. Two more, go ahead.
Okay, I may have a slightly different perspective on transportation than a lot of people in the city, because I grew up on the west side when there was transportation in the city. It was called a trolley, an electric buses and such as that. There you go. And I've also got the perspective of spending 27 of my 35 years commuting to downtown Los Angeles. Oh, God, yes. And the one thing I'll say is if you're going to get people out of their cars into public transportation, make it convenient. Don't make me drive someplace to get on public transportation, because once I'm in my car, I may not want to stop there. Mary said it, the dash buses.
Last question, last comment, briefly.
Hi, I live in Chatsworth. The Orange Line is a concern for me. The key to 21st century transit has got to be grade separation. The term's been mentioned, but transit, there are two ways to do it. Subway, which is usually expensive or up in the air, and I don't want to mention the term that gets Richard upset. But I rode on a system in Germany. It's called a Schwebebahn in Wuppertal, Germany. It's over 100 years old. It's carried over 1 billion passengers, and it has an almost perfect safety record. So we need to think up.
Ken Silconcino, LA Transit rider for over 70 years. You mentioned about new lines, but I think folks should consider doing things about existing lines where you have no service on weekends or evenings or frequent service. And just to use one example, we talked about service to the west side, and there's an additional service that wasn't mentioned, the 218, which is great in the sense of going from the Valley, Studio City, and straight down into the area on the west side. But again, that's one line where they have very infrequent service during the day and stop providing service in the early evening.